What's up, everybody? My name is Nickerson. Thanks for coming to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about my favorite game series of all time, and that is Halo. That's right, Halo. Let's go. We got Mumbo Raz in the studio. We're going to kick it off to my good guest, Mumbo Raz. Why don't you kick it off? Why don't you kick it off with a classic Halo story for our nice Halo fan audience?
What would you have your arbiter do?
Were it so easy. Okay, now that the corny lines are out of the way.
All right, so I'm going to kick it off with Halo 1. I can still remember my older brother invited me to one of his buddy's house for a LAN party. It was a classic 4-on-4. So there's like me and like 3 other guys in one room, door shut. Ethernet cable going out to the next room, the other 4 guys, door shut. So now we can kind of coordinate like, hey, you know, the guys over there. And
no screen
neither side
peeking.
can hear each other. There's no screen looking, any of that, because there's 2 TVs, all that good stuff. And I just remember playing that, and then fast forward to my buddy Mike was like, dude, you got to check out Halo 2. So I'm like, Halo 2, I remember Halo 1, playing a little multiplayer for that. That was you know, the game was kind of cool.
Yeah, you dabbled.
And then, yeah, I dabbled a little bit, and then I played that, and I was just like, oh my God, dude, this is good.
You gave it the Home Alone?
Yeah.
I had the same reaction, my friend. Same reaction. Halo is such a classic, and that's good to know that you dabbled in 1 and then you got into it more so in 2.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of the Halo community, a lot of them got into it in Halo 2. That was a big first Halo for people. For me, I got into the original. I remember back in the day, I had asked my mother for Xbox for Christmas, and I remember hearing. I didn't look too much into it. I heard the price was $500, so I was like, I wasn't gonna hold my breath.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, Mom, I really want Xbox for Christmas. It's $500. I don't need birthday presents, Christmas presents forever. I just want this game, the system. So I didn't realize there was a $300 version, but $500 was the bundle. So my mother, me telling her it was $500, she went out, she got the $500 one that came with the bundle. It came with a few games, extra controller, yada yada. So I remember opening it up. I saw the green X. Right when I opened it, I was like, oh my God, I got the Xbox, right? Like, I was like, yeah, Nintendo 64, no, Xbox, right? I got the Xbox. Fuck the Nintendo. The Xbox was out now. Microsoft is the player in the game, right? Let's go. And she got me a bunch of games wrapped individually, and which were probably part of the package back then. I don't know, part of the bundle. So I remember opening the games. I had no idea my mother was gonna get this for me. I didn't think she was because it was so, expensive. $500 is a lot. So especially in 2001, it's still a decent amount now, but in 2001 it's even a lot more. So 2001, I get the Xbox. I'm opening up games. I get games like Fusion Frenzy, Max Payne, excellent games by the way. Launch titles on the Xbox. Classic. We'll go into that later. And then I opened one up and it was this green guy with a helmet looking at me with an assault rifle. It said Halo Combat Evolved. And I looked at it and I knew it had like an aura. And I looked at it, I was like, this is something special. And I go, this looks cool. And my mother looked at me and she said, Matthew, the guy at GameStop said this is going to be the next big game. And then I remember it was. I had started to play it, and then I heard kids like, this is Halo, blah, blah, and I heard it in school, and I was like, oh, cool, all the kids are playing it. And this kid, Dave, in my science class was like, yo, Nickerson, you ever play Halo? And I was like, dude, I got that for Christmas. He's like, yeah, me too. He's like, I'm on the Truth and Reconciliation. I was like, oh, man, you noob. I'm on the Silent Cartographer already. Yeah. He's like, all right, don't spoil it. If you beat it, don't spoil it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, we'll get together. We'll play some multiplayer. And instantly, that Halo community was born, man. There was nothing like the Halo community. I remember that feeling when it first came out. I was 14 years old in 2001, prime age of gaming. Right? Yeah. That's a big age that kids get into gaming, And it was huge. I just remember talking to kids in school. That was like, I just remember the impact it had of when it first came out before Halo. Like, isn't it hard to remember gaming before Halo?
Yeah.
Like, that was a long time ago. So I just thought that was like, it just made it extra special for me. And watching, it took off after that. And then Halo 2, what was special about Halo 2, that was actually the first game that demanded a midnight release.
Nice, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a midnight release was inevitable. This was the first game. There was so much hype. It sold like over 8 million copies. 2004, that was huge.
Wow.
That was huge. I mean, Halo brought it to the next level. Halo 2 brought it next level after that, and you get Halo 3. Like, this is a hardcore series. There's not a lot of games, especially not a lot of shooters that have excellent campaign, right?
Yeah.
And it has a legendary multiplayer. Most shooters, it's usually, if you're a shooter, you realize it's got a great campaign, multiplayer's okay. Or the multiplayer is fantastic and the campaign's okay. But Halo is one of those very rare arena shooter style games that has both. And that's one of the most important things about Halo.
So one of the cool things that I liked about Halo 2, saw this video a couple years ago where this guy, he's playing a guitar and he's just in the room with some of the guys doing the soundtrack for Halo.
Right.
He's like, hey, what do you want me to do for this? He's like, I can do this or that or this. And he's like, we're recording. He's like, just have fun with it. Let's see what we get.
I remember this.
And being a Halo fan, having heard this particular guitar riff, you just hear the guy go, he's just kind of playing around and just going like this, and all of a sudden he's like, and it's like, there it is. And there's the.
It was similar. It just didn't sound like a dying cat. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, luckily his sounded way better than mine.
It sounded just a little bit better than a dying cat.
Just a little bit.
I'll link that video that you're talking about in the description, the official video. That was an excellent video. Any Halo fan, you're going to need to watch that. I'm glad you brought that up, dude.
Yep.
That's an awesome part of Halo history, for sure.
Yeah, you got that. You got the tribal drums where the guy's like
for sure
driving to the Warthog, and it's like we have to go like cross the map to go to the Covenant. And it was just like so hype hearing that music during an intense scene.
Oh yeah. I was getting a little too into it, but hey, it happens, man. Halo is nothing like Halo, and I think anybody watching who's a Halo fan is gonna understand that.
Yeah. So Halo 2. That's probably out of the Halo series. That's probably one of my favorite campaigns. I like Chief, but
Halo 2?
I was definitely a big fan of Arbiter. I just love the fact how they had like both sides of the story running simultaneously. So you had like Chief and the Spartans. They're fighting the Covenant. They're like, in their eyes, the Covenant's the enemy. We have to stop these guys.
Right.
And then it flips to the other side. Arbiter, the elites, and the rest of the Covenant are like, Chief and the Spartans are the enemy. We have to do this. And they're just going along, doing their own thing. And all of a sudden, they come together. They get grabbed by this character called Gravemind. He's like the head of the Flood, this like parasite zombie race.
I remember him, yeah.
And he's just like this crazy-looking monster. He's got tentacles. And he grabs the two of them. He's huge. He's just like, we started this world as enemies, but this ring will make us brothers. So he's talking about the ring that the Covenant was going to set off this big weapon of mass destruction. And I just thought it was cool how you have like the villain is like, hey dude, like there's a bigger villain. We have to come together here, like put our differences aside.
Seriously.
I thought that was so awesome. So he's sitting there and he's talking to him and he's like, all right, you're gonna go over here and find out some stuff, and you're gonna go over here and find some stuff. And he pretty much just sent them out. He had his little followers to kind of like run around and get him information because he's pretty much just kind of planted it where he was.
Yep.
But I thought that was so cool about that campaign, just the idea of like a villain putting his differences aside.
I remember
together with these guys.
I totally agree. I think the Halo 2 campaign was awesome. The only thing I didn't like about it is I remember it ended and I didn't even know it was ending. You remember that?
Yeah.
Did you feel that way? Because I remember it was
so
ending,
abrupt.
and I was like, okay, this is a cutscene, and then the credits happened. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I didn't mind because the campaign was so good. I had no idea that was the end.
Yeah,
I felt like it was like
it's almost kind of like when you're watching like a trilogy, like let's just say Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
You're sitting there watching the first movie, you're like, oh, this is just starting to get good way, and stops.
Yeah.
And then you get into
we're
the
done
next
here.
one. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, the Halo 2 campaign's awesome. I'd say for me personally, I think the Halo Combat Evolved, the original Halo 1, has the best campaign, but I think they're all excellent.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong, honestly.
In their
almost
own way.
like splitting hairs as to which one's best.
Yeah, and it's a matter of personal opinion because, like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, you idiot, like this one's way better. Like they're all good. It's really personal preference. Yeah. I think I like the original because I think I mentioned this in other videos. Whenever the sequels, I always think the original tends to be the best because it's the first introduction to the story. It's a little bit more hardcore than the rest. Typically, there's just my opinion. Yep. But again, like Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach, 4, they all like they all have awesome campaigns.
Oh, dude! Speaking of campaigns, how cool was it in Halo 3 with the skulls?
Oh,
so you're going around the level, and it's like there's a skull you can collect, but it's like all the way to the left. You really have to go out of your way to find the skull, and it's like in
you have to look
uptight crevice.
You're not going to find it by accident.
It's not like you're walking along here and the skull's like right over there. It's like, no, you're going all the way across the map to get this thing.
Yeah.
But it was so cool. Like, I want to say, I think there was like, we'll just say like 10 of them, and like 9 out of 10 of those skulls, or however many they were, all except for like one of them, was all made the game harder. Like, load up this skull and you got half a clip. Load up this skull and now the enemy's tougher. Load up this skull and this happens. But my
invisible
favorite,
enemies or enemies do more damage, or you don't do damage unless it's a plasma weapon. Like all these cool things. And I remember the thing that's so cool about Halo is when someone's like, "Yeah, I play Halo," you didn't instantly know what they played in Halo. Like I remember some guys specifically played the campaign that play skulls. They're like, "Oh, we're going to find the skulls." Yep. That was like we're the Skull Clan. We're going to look for skulls, find them. Right? And then you have people who just want to do co-op. Right, and then you have people who want to do.
Just looking to get through the story. Yeah,
then you want to do. That. Then you have people who want to do straight up MLG. Shout out to Carbon, one of the best teams back in the day for Halo 3. Had to give you guys a shout out. I used to watch all the time. Good times. And you had all these different. You had people playing, Social Slayer and then MLG. You had so if someone's like, "Yeah, I play Halo," you didn't know what they played in Halo. There were so many options, so many things like Griffball. And Halo 3
was great. Sumo.
With the are you talking about Sumo?
Yeah,
with
so you had the warthogs,
Sumo.
and you went into this pit, and you had to bump the other person out of the circle. Sumo.
That was
wrestling. It was cool.
That was awesome. I remember cops and robbers. Like you could the amount of customization in Halo for custom games was you couldn't compare it to anything.
Yeah.
Like, you could full on customize. You could do it faster. You could have more shields. You could do less gravity. Like you could do anything. All weapons. Like anything you could think of was available to do, and that was new.
Yeah.
And Forge. You could forge a map from scratch. Tell me what other console shooter could do that in 2007?
Yeah.
2000. What other console shooter could do it? None of them, because nothing can compare to Halo. Once again, it just can't. You can't compare to Halo. It truly is. It's the best series ever, and let alone the best shooter. I mean, to have the campaign, the multiplayer, how subdivided you could do the multiplayer. You could play it casually. You could play tag. You could play this was the only first-person shooter. You had multiple sub games within that. You could play games where people didn't even know what other, they weren't even involved. There were communities around one little niche area of Halo 3.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of games like that, especially back then, and especially on the Xbox. This console shooter really brought it to the next level. And that's definitely why it's my favorite series of all time. Next to Resident Evil, shout out Resident Evil. Halo and Resident Evil are my all-time favorite games.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I'm definitely a Nintendo fanboy, but when I saw Halo, I'm like, dude, I have to get the next Xbox for this game. No doubt about it.
For sure.
Gotta get it,
You're not alone there. A lot of people, PS2 was undeniably the best successful system of the time. It sold the most compared to the GameCube and Xbox. Doesn't mean it was the best. Justin Bieber sells the most records. He's not the best musician, right? Just saying. Right? Just saying. But yeah, PS2 sold the most. Xbox was the kind of game. Halo was the kind of game where these PlayStation boys would go over to their friend's house who had an Xbox. They're like, "What's Xbox? I don't know. I'm a Sony kid, right?" And then they'd be like, hop on some Halo, right?" And they'd play Halo, and they'd leave, and they'd be like, "What the hell was I doing, dude? I need to buy an Xbox and get Halo." And that's what really brought Xbox onto the map. Halo 1 was great, amazing, still my favorite campaign, but Halo 2 really brought the success to the Xbox, without a doubt. The original Xbox, 2004. There were a couple games online before that, but, there was Crimson Skies. Very cool game. Not a lot of people played it. Very fun. That was fun online.
Yeah.
But nothing had the impact of Halo 2. Go back and look.
I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that Halo 2 was the reason that I had to get Xbox Live. Halo 2, Halo 3, that was okay, I need to get Xbox Live for this thing.
Yeah.
Take it to the next level of being able to play with my buddies and then just
and it was straight
trash talking and beating other people. It was just
and remember the original Xbox, it was broadband. You couldn't even do dial-up. You had to have broadband for that.
Yeah, that was a smart move on their part.
Originally
they were thinking about doing just a little
sacrifice?
phone jack,
Yeah.
and they're like, one of the guys that they were consulting were like, no, like go with the Ethernet cable. He's like, trust me. He's like, that whole phone cable thing. He's like, that's gonna go by the wayside.
Yeah.
Go with the Ethernet cable, and lo and behold, that's what happened.
They had
the
to,
whole
yeah.
phone cable thing was pretty much like a dinosaur technology.
Dial-up was dead.
So that was a smart move on their part.
Dial-up was dead, and yeah, the Halo. If you've played any of the Halos, you definitely can understand where we're coming from and why we're doing a whole video on this. We're gonna do a part 2.
Oh, we have to. There's just not enough time to squeeze all the love we have for Halo in 20 minutes.
We barely got through. We barely got up to Halo 3. You talk about Halo 3, that invented essentially MLG when competitive shooter tournaments. Halo 3 was huge. 2009, 2010. I remember when it was getting hot. I was like, oh my God, dude. T2, shout out to T2. Miss you, brother. Used to play with him back in the day. Straight ripping. He was one of the best pros. Arguably the best. Depends on who you ask, right? Yeah. It's like any other player for any other team. But he was on MTV's I'm a Pro Gamer.
Really?
Yeah, there were these episodes. I think it was something like that. It's like MTV's like True Life. That's what it was. True Life. I'm a Pro Gamer. And T2 had been playing Halo, and he did an episode, and there's this film of him, and he actually dropped out of high school, and he's like, I want to compete in video games. His guidance counselor was like, no, you're making a mistake. Your parents were like, no, you're making a mistake. And guess what? He's a millionaire because he played video games, and he played Halo. Halo was an outlet for those people. Like, this was the first game people were like, wow, if I get good at this game, I can get something back and I can make a career out of this. Like, you put the time into Halo, it's rewarding. It gives you back, right?
Yeah.
It gives it to you back tenfold.
Yeah.
People had careers off of Halo 3.
Yeah, like you see those guys in Red versus Blue, they were just kind of messing around making videos, and now they're famous.
Yeah. And they made another subdivision of Halo. Like, look, people recorded in theater. So they had Forge. I didn't even bring up theater. You could record stuff in Halo 3. There were shows made within the game. Like this game, 2007, like Halo 3, Halo 2, Halo 1. Every single one of them has something special, unique, and individualistic that made them better and more special than any other game out at the time.
Yeah, like I thought that was so cool seeing those videos. I'm like, I remember that level and just the humor of like the characters. Like,
it was awesome.
Teabagging and whatnot.
Arby and the Chief. Did you watch that one?
Oh yes, with the action figures. I saw that.
Yeah. Shout out to, I think his name was Digital Fear, something like that. I'll link that. I know they got taken off. It was on Machinima, but they got taken off. But I'll link it in the description if I have it. If it's still on YouTube, that was an awesome show. Red vs. Blue. I think that's on Netflix still.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to do a part 2. We're running out of time for this video. We just wanted to talk about how much we love Halo. Halo 3 just came out on PC. We're loving it. We're going to add some gameplay in there for that. And I just wanted to thank you all for watching. What's your favorite Halo game? Or what do you think compares to Halo? Leave it in the comments. I just wanted to thank Mumble Raz for coming out and talking about our favorite game, our shared favorite game, Halo, the Halo series. Best game of all time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks again.